And after all that, I wrote it off, didn't owe any taxes.
Nice! That reminds me of a simple janitor who left behind an $8 million fortune, and he did it in a way that the IRS couldn't touch it.
A janitor? You serious?
Yep, he was the most unassuming guy of all time. But after I tell you about his method and his trick, I think you'll agree that Ronald Read is frugal, generous, and most of all, he's crafty.
Oh, yeah!
Ronald Read was born in the backwoods of Vermont. And I do mean backwoods. We're talking hitchhike to high school territory. He was the first in his family to graduate. Then came World War II. Ronald served in the military as a mechanic in North Africa and Italy. After the war, he came back home and, well, didn't exactly chase glory. He worked as a gas station attendant for 25 years, then he became a janitor at JCPenney, and that's it. That was his resume. Oh yeah, and Ronald was really, frugal. Think of the biggest cheapskate you know. Whoever it is, Ronald would have put them to shame.
What do we treat ourselves to?
Clothes.
Treat yourself.
Fine leather goods.
Treat yourself.
It's the best day of the year.
I mean, this is insane.
Man, did you buy anything for yourself today?
Yeah, I got this pack of socks.
Plain white socks? That's not a treat.
The only thing he ever treated himself to was a cup of coffee at his local diner. The waitress who typically served him said he would always wear a flannel shirt and his beat-up, fraying jean jacket that he kept closed with a safety pin. In fact, one time a stranger passing through town paid his bill just assuming that Ronald couldn't afford it. He drove a used Toyota, and at 90 years old, he even cut his own firewood that he used to heat his house.
So where's the $8 million come from?
Exactly, where did it come from? Well, I can tell you it didn't come from crypto. It didn't come from day trading either. No fancy gimmicks found online, just self-discipline and the stock market. Like I said, this story has two parts, and it starts with his stock method. Just like the other aspects of his life, Ronald's portfolio wasn't flashy either. It was simple. So simple, in fact, that he didn't even have an investment broker or an advisor. Not one he paid for, anyway. You see, Ronald went nearly every day to the Brooks Memorial Library to read books about the stock market and the Wall Street Journal. He taught himself how to buy and sell, learned about blue chip stocks, and discovered dividends. Like his flannel shirt wardrobe, he didn't gamble with his stocks, only picking companies that he knew well, and ideally was a customer of. Big, boring names: AT&T, Bank of America, General Motors, but most importantly, stocks that paid dividends. Put simply, he looked for companies that paid a percentage of their earnings to the shareholders, either as more stocks or in cash. Every time he was paid a cash dividend, he would reinvest it into more stock. So Ronald wasn't just frugal, he was disciplined with the money he earned. He started investing not long after the war, and when his family opened his safe deposit box after he passed away, they found the receipts. A big, boring mountain of paper worth over $8 million.
That's nuts. How do you keep it from the IRS?
Great question, but before I get into that, I'll tell you quickly how stocks are taxed typically. Without getting overly technical, I'm sure you've heard of capital gains tax. It's what you pay when you sell off an investment. When you invest in something, you pay money that's already been taxed to pay for it. Let's say the stock initially cost $25. When it's time to sell it, the value's grown to $100. You aren't taxed on the entire $100, just the $75 you gain. When selling off stocks, investors will try to lessen their tax exposure through things like offsetting with losses, using tax advantage accounts, moving to a lower tax state, or even giving it to a family member. Holding long term, which Ronald certainly did, can lower the tax rate all the way down to 0%. But our hero played by the tune of his own drummer. Sometimes there's a strategy so bold, so unique, that it takes a disciplined miser to pull it off. You see, you aren't taxed until you sell your investment. Ronald's trick? Well, he died. I mean, he held on to his stocks until he died. He never sold them, so he never saw a profit on them. And that gain vanished when he passed it on to his heirs. So where'd all that money go? It was $8 million in stocks, right? Well, this once anonymous janitor now has a wing of the Brattleboro Memorial Hospital named after him because of a $4 million donation he made in his will. He also donated $2 million to the library where he learned how to trade stocks. His two stepkids and his caretaker shared the rest of it. So I've described Ronald as frugal and disciplined, but most importantly, he was extraordinarily generous. That reminds me of a farmer who didn't go looking for a fight but still wound up in court after a giant seed company tried to sue the flannel off his back. Catch that story on our next trip downstream.